You don't experience the world as it is, you experience it as you are. Your reality is not something that's happening out there. It's happening from within you. And see, this is so important because the way so many of us have been conditioned to believe is that there's like this external outer world that's totally separate from us. Then there's us or the inner world. But that whole approach is stemming from separation consciousness. And separation consciousness is the illusion. Even Albert Einstein said the greatest tragedy of human existence is the illusion of separation. So this is an illusion, it's not reality. What's actually going on is life is, think of it as a movie screen, a blank screen before there's any projection on it from the projector. Before there's any kind of projection on the screen, it's just a blank screen. It's neutral. There's nothing on it. But what happens is we're perceiving life through our subconscious minds. And so through this perception, through this lens, that's how we are seeing whatever life is. And whatever is in the subconscious mind would be the movie screen projector. So whatever's playing in the projector is being projected onto the screen, and that's how we're perceiving reality. We're saying, oh, look, this is like this, and that's like that because of this, and we're making all these assumptions and conclusions based upon this external focus, not realizing that the only reason we're experiencing and seeing it the way we are seeing it is because it's coming from our subconscious mind. So, what does this mean? And why is this so important? Well, because so many of us spend so much time, energy, and effort trying to change the movie screen, trying to change the external world or whatever it is, hoping that it will make us feel different or better on the inside, or thinking that that is the ultimate solution, to be external focused and we live from the outside in instead of living from the inside out. And that approach, that pursuit is very exhausting because think about it. It's like if you're at the movie theater and you're watching a movie on the screen and there's something about the movie that you don't like the characters, or you have a preference about the scenery or whatever it is. Like, if you try to change what's happening on the movie screen, it's going to be pretty much impossible, right? You can't change what's on the screen because what's on the screen is just coming from the projector. So, and then whatever's in the projector. So, if you want to change whatever's happening on the screen in the movie, you have to put in a new movie, a new DVD, or a new whatever into the projector, into the device that's projecting it onto the blank screen. Then you can start to notice, oh, look, this is different now. And now this is something I'm more aligned with. So in the same way, we have this immediate focus, like I said, this tendency to want to fix and solve all of our external problems, thinking that that's the answer. But what if it actually starts with going within? What if examining what's actually in the subconscious mind, investigating it, and discovering these different limiting beliefs is the first step to actually changing the external, the manifestation, the experience of our perceived outer world. And this is something that is simply a shift in perspective. That's where it starts. Like I said, instead of living from the outside in where life circumstances and situations are controlling you, you're stepping back as awareness and you're seeing, hey, wait a second. What if it's been the other way around? What if my subconscious mind has been the very thing that's been creating these different perceptions of whatever it is that's actually happening in reality? And maybe that's where the suffering is coming from. Maybe suffering isn't a matter of whatever's happening in life. Maybe suffering is coming from our interpretation of it or our perception of it based upon the deep subconscious belief that we've been conditioned with. So when we start to see this, it really changes the game. And when you start to get really curious about what's in your subconscious, and you start this process of deprogramming and then reprogramming, and these limiting beliefs start to dissolve, and there's clarity, and there's this spaciousness, and there's this freedom. And then you start to reprogram, which reprogramming just comes with seeing the truth. So it's almost like this simultaneous thing that happens. Once you see the truth of your being, once you see the truth that was hiding underneath the clouds of conditioning, that is the reprogramming. And that's even how we actually let go of these different attachments and egoic constructs that we've been holding on to. Letting go is not something that you do. It's a realization. It's a byproduct of seeing what is, seeing the truth, seeing what is true and seeing what is false. Then the letting go, when you see what is true and you know the truth, simultaneously, that which is false dissipates. And now you're living from a completely new state of being. And now that vibrational frequency is going out into the field. And now all of a sudden, what's on the screen, what's appearing in life or in the outer world looks completely different. And this is precisely how manifestation actually works. It's not a matter of trying to create things that don't already exist. And it's not a matter of making things happen and trying to strive from the ego. That's where so many people get stuck in that game of trying to manifest things from the ego because they're not happy with their life circumstances and situations and whatever it is. See? But when you recognize, when you remember that all is mind, mentalism, and this is a game, this is something that's happening from the inside out, what happens is you become empowered. And the truth is, what's actually happening in your perceived outer world isn't really changing, but you are being transformed from the inside out. Your perception is changing. And when that happens, that's actually the true precursor to the things in the outer world shifting. Like Wayne Dyer has that famous quote where he says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Why? Because it's all one. It's all actually interconnected. But the sequence of it, the flow of it, is from the inside out. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is within you, and it flows in that way. So this is what freedom is all about. This is how you actually transform your life. And it's so much simpler than what so many people have made it out to be. And the question you have to ask yourself is, how much longer do I want to keep exhausting myself trying to change all these different things in my job, in my relationship, in this circumstance or that circumstance, whatever? How much longer do I want to spend putting all my time, energy, and effort into trying to solve problems when I could be taking that time, energy, and effort, although it's not really effort, it's effortless once you start to see what's actually limiting you. But yeah, like you make a choice. You decide, where do I want to go from here? How do I want to focus on this? How do I want to move forward? And when you make that change and you start bringing that energy and attention into your inner world and realizing that this is the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind is the projector. It is literally what is creating your experience of reality, of life itself. When you start spending time and energy there, putting in a new DVD or reprogramming or deprogramming, whatever you want to call it, again, with this inward focus, that is when miracles start to happen. That is when you start to experience this realm of infinite potentiality, and major empowerment. And just by doing this, just by focusing on this, your true divine nature is going to start to shine. And you realize that you actually are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. It's not something that you don't already have. The light has been hidden within you, but there's been these limiting beliefs, these ideas, these stories, these conditionings that have been constructed on top of that light that have been hiding that light and preventing that light from shining. But it's really simple. And this is why, when I do teach and coach any kind of subconscious deprogramming, what I teach is that the subconscious is in the shadows, in the dark. It's the part of your mind that you're not aware of. And that's where all of these different narratives and egoic constructs and limiting beliefs are living. And so once you start to bring awareness into these parts of your subconscious, like that's all it is. The seeing, the awareness that goes into the subconscious is the very thing. It is actually the light that dissolves whatever's been hanging out in the shadows, whatever's been holding you back from your true potential. So this is where, again, people make this process so complicated, and they spend so much time doing all of this work trying to fix themselves or heal themselves or whatever. And it doesn't have to be all of that. And in many cases, like the belief of there's something wrong with me, I'm broken, I need to fix myself, I need to heal myself, I need to save myself, that belief and that mentality is the very thing causing the experience of being stuck. So anytime you get into that mode of like, okay, here we go, like I have to do all these things and jump through all these hoops in order to be okay, in order to be healed, in order to be whole, that's when you actually reinforce the pattern, the unconscious pattern that's been running your life for God knows how long. But just by getting curious, just by asking questions when you feel these different emotions or triggers, once you start questioning why you're experiencing that and what's underneath it, the questioning and the curiosity is your divine awareness. It is the light. And when you bring that curiosity into the parts of your mind that you haven't questioned, that's when whatever's hanging out in the shadow self or in the darkness of the subconscious or unconscious can't be fueled anymore. Whatever the limiting belief or energetic identity embodiment is in the subconscious realm, whatever it is, it can't thrive. It can't continue to run your life if there's light in your subconscious, because it's running on you not being aware of it. It's running in the darkness. That's like its fuel. Yeah, that's like what's empowering it almost. So once there's light, once there's awareness in the subconscious, and you see that what was actually holding you back wasn't even true to begin with, then that's when the dissolution process begins. And in the absence of whatever it was that was holding you back subconsciously, there's nothing but freedom and peace and unconditional love. Because like I've talked about many times, unconditional love and peace that surpasses all understanding and joy unspeakable are inherent qualities of your true nature, who you really are, beyond any kind of egoic construct or mask. And that is something that can absolutely be directly experienced when you start to become curious and go through the investigation process, or even like some kind of self-inquiry process. So this is what I mean by effortless. it's just seeing. It's this expansion of consciousness. And then you don't have to do all these things to let go of these attachments or to let go of these beliefs. They dissolve on their own when you start to see and when the light starts to increase in the areas of your mind that you didn't even know were there. Okay? And when this happens, then you're free to reprogram and put on a new DVD or a new belief that's in alignment with the truth of your nature. And you don't even you don't even necessarily have to do that. So I want to watch how I'm framing this up, because in reality, once whatever was blocking you or keeping you limited is dissolved, then there's nothing but truth there. There's nothing but seeing what is. And so even the reprogramming can become another thing that hinders you. So once there's just the light there underneath the different layers of conditioning, it's kind of like, think of the sun. The sun is always there. It's always shining, but there are clouds that block it from our point of view, from our perspective. And when this happens, we tend to think, oh no, look, the sun's going away, or it's getting cloudy, or, it's getting darker. And from our point of view, from our perspective, because of the clouds that are blocking the sun, it seems that way. But in reality, the sun did not stop shining, or the sun didn't start shining less. It was always shining the same. But something hindered us from seeing that. In the same way, your true nature, which is full of everything you've been searching for, has always been there. It's always been the same. It's always been in the now, full of peace, full of love, full of abundance, full of harmony, full of everything that you've been searching for. And so once that dissolution process happens, that's the new projection into the outer world, into your life. And that's when your frequency becomes really high, because your true vibrational frequency is high. That's also why you don't have to try to raise your vibration, because trying to raise your vibration, again, implies that your default vibrational state is low. But it's not, it's high. Now, we lose sight of that, or we get attached to these things, these thought patterns, these narratives about ourselves that keep us in the lower frequencies. But it's a matter of seeing what's true. When we see what's true, then simultaneously there's the letting go, there's the releasing, and then we naturally gravitate back to that high vibrational state, which is pure love and bliss and joy, and most importantly, authenticity. So that's just what naturally happens. And it's so evident, it's so apparent when you start to live from this high vibrational frequency from your heart space instead of from your head space, because you're now in alignment. And what's meant for you starts to flow into your life very naturally and effortlessly. And things start to happen, and you start to see things from this higher perspective, and intuition increases, and you have more clarity around certain situations. And there's just this, the best way to describe it is that there's this grounded peace that surpasses all understanding, that you just know deep in your bones is like the ground of your being. And it's a river that flows, and it's the Tao. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. But you live from that state of being, which is who you really are, for a certain amount of time. It doesn't take long. And what's seemingly out there and separate from you starts to catch up, starts to match that. And it's very beautiful and incredible how this works. But why does it work that way? Well, because everything is happening actually inside of you. That's why So many of the different sages and mystics have said things like, the kingdom of heaven is within you, consciousness, or the Tao is within you, the Christ is within you, the Buddha is within you. It's all within you. The universe is within you. You are not some kind of finite, limited being in the universe, although we've been led to believe that, and so we live according to that movie, that DVD, and we get that projection and that experience of limitation and being a small separate self. But you are not in the universe. The universe is within you, consciousness, infinite consciousness. And again, once you start seeing it from that truth, from that reality, everything changes. And yes, you are experiencing what it's like to be a finite human. That's part of the human experience. That's part of the ride. That's part of the trip. But it's not the ultimate truth, and it's not who you are. And I've talked about this so many times, but we can actually, like many of the different mystics have said things like this, being in the world but not of it. Recognizing that your true self, capital T, capital S, is infinite. And what you are experiencing is what it's like to be finite temporarily in this human construct, in this human game, and you're living it out fully. You're embracing what it's like to be human. But at the same time, you're recognizing from this non-dual sense that everything is within you, consciousness. And therefore, whatever you're perceiving through your finite mind is coming from that. It's coming from the projector. It's coming from the subconscious. And I don't know, when this really starts to hit home, when you really start to see this, the best way to describe the experience of knowing this is empowerment. And it increases in a very loving way, not like in this egoic way or in this, it's in a way of love and kindness and compassion, and it also starts with unconditional self-love. Like before you can actually love anyone else unconditionally, because of the sequence of what I'm describing in this video, with everything is happening within the infinite consciousness and it's being projected from the subconscious. Like it starts with going within and learning how to love the parts of yourself that you have conditionally loved unconditionally. Then that is what enables you. That's what activates this power within you to be able to actually and genuinely love other people with that same unconditional love. Because everyone, like beyond the different things that seem to separate us, everyone is one. There's one consciousness. There's one being, there's one source, and we are all living and moving from that one truth, from source, from the divine, whatever you want to call it. So this is when things get really interesting, because when you start to actually love yourself unconditionally, and now you're embodying and expressing unconditional love, just from that, just from your presence, you are now encouraging and inspiring and empowering others to remember that truth about themselves. And now they can experience the same inner transformation that you experienced. And their outer world, their perception of life, of reality, starts to reflect that. And they start to see that more, because whatever is in your subconscious and whatever you're conditioned with or programmed with, you see more of that in your perceived outer world. And so if you're full of love and that's your vibrational frequency, then in your perceived outer world and life, that's what starts to show up more, and you attract that more into your life. That's what the law of attraction is all about. The law of attraction is not about trying to manifest things that you want. It's recognizing that when you go within and you experience that inner transformation and that inner wholeness and freedom and unconditional love of your being, that is a frequency that attracts frequencies that are on that same level, that are vibrating at that same frequency. And there's a match, there's an alignment. That's how it works. It's magnetism. So that's what the law of attraction really is about. And people get so caught up on trying to manifest these specific things, and it has to be like this or like that. And most of the time, that's just the ego trying to create or trying to control the outer world, trying to control the movie screen, thinking that if it can control the movie screen or change what's on the screen, then it will be okay. Then it will be happy. Then it will be fulfilled. But does that ever actually work? No, it doesn't. And again, that's another pattern of being really exhausted and it's just really tiring to live from that place of, if I could just attract this or create that, or if life looked like this instead of that, then I would be okay. Because if you're living from that point of view, if you're living from that mindset, it's never enough. There's always this tendency to want more. It's, oh, well, it could be better. And then it's never as good as it seems. And again, it's just very exhausting to live like that. It's miserable. It creates an enormous amount of unnecessary suffering. So to live from the inside out, to experience your inherent wholeness and enoughness and divinity, is the precursor to actually attracting people, relationships, opportunities in your life that are in alignment, that are matching your frequency that you have already experienced within yourself and have known to be a truth. Because then it's like you're so free, and then the law of detachment is there, where you're like, I don't need anyone or anything in order to be okay, in order to be enough, in order to be whole. I know I already am because of what I've experienced. I'm free to be. And there's not this attachment to outcome, or there's not this attachment to a particular preference or whatever, like the way you think life should be, or the way you think life needs to be in order for you to be accepted and loved, and all of that stuff. There, like, you let go of that law of detachment because you know you already are. And from your being, everything changes. And you start to see heaven on earth all around you, because you have remembered that you are heaven. And that is the new projection coming from the projector, the subconscious mind. And now you're living in heaven, right here, right now. And I think that's what Jesus actually meant in the Gospel of Thomas when he said, the kingdom of heaven is within you and outside of you. So, yeah, I think that's it for today. I know I've said a lot, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about. It's something that I'm learning more and more about personally as I go within, as I question these things that I've been believing about myself, as I embody more unconditional love and less self-judgment. I am starting to experience a brand new world, a brand new reality from the inside out. And it's amazing. It's like, yeah, I'm seeing that this is really what the human experience is all about. It's experiencing this wild roller coaster of a journey, and seeing how, like, we are so much more powerful than we've been led to believe. And when we see this and it's aligned with the truth of our divine nature, like, all things truly are possible. And it just becomes really fun. And from this place of love, you want other beings to experience this same reality, the same truth, because it is reality. It is the truth underneath all these things that, like I said, have been controlling us and setting us back and have been keeping us limited and living according to these different egoic narratives and all the stuff. And every part of the journey is meaningful, and there's all these different stepping stones, and every season, every phase is really important to embrace. So that's just something to keep in mind. But anyway, yeah, this is something that I've been really fascinated with. At first, when I was first presented with it, I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's actually what's going on with the whole subconscious and how it projects our beliefs and our assumptions onto our perceived outer world, onto life. Like, I didn't really believe all of that until I actually started going within and questioning these beliefs, and then noticing a shift on the subconscious level, and then seeing the manifestations of the things happening in my life. That's when I was like, yeah, there must be something to this. So if you're someone who is kind of like questioning what I'm saying here, or you're doubting it, I would just invite you to be open to it, to explore it, and to see, what can happen. I mean, if you have these different things that are happening right now in your life and you want there to be a change, you want to shift these different patterns or behaviors or tendencies, and it's connected to these deeper subconscious core beliefs, then yeah, like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose in starting this inward journey of inner freedom so that you can experience heaven on earth and abundance and peace and joy and love within you and all around you? That's the question. So I think that's it for today. If you found this video helpful, informative, or insightful, please leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.